a safe space for St. Louis to learn about soccer. This is Soccer 101 with Michelle Smallman and Moon Valjean.
Welcome in again to Soccer 101. It's the safe space for St. Louis to talk about soccer. Moon Valjean and Michelle Smallman are your hosts, and we are here with you today. And Moon, it's match day 8. It's time to recount the victory, 5-1 St. Louis over FC Cincinnati. And this was a big win for St. Louis, coming off 2 straight losses and a game that they absolutely dominated. And we're going to get over the tactical parts of the game, but you were actually there. And I want to hear your firsthand recount of what happened in this game, not only just the match day experience, but there was a lot of action happening before the game with the weather. So Moon, please take us through what your game day was like.
It was a huge match for St. Louis City SC. It was a huge match for St. Louis, and it was a huge match for me and my son. My son finally got to see CITYPARK and St. Louis City SC, although it was not at the 7:30 kickoff that it was supposed to be. If you were familiar, you were in St. Louis during that weekend, or you were at the match, you know that tornado warnings, tornado watches were all around us. So just to take you through, it was supposed to be gates at 6, kickoff at 7:30. What ended up happening is we got down there around 6 o'clock, 6:15, right when the tornado sirens started going, and everything was, hey, lock it down, get the heck off the roads. So my son and I pulled into the Foundry garage because we hadn't made it all the way down to CITYPARK yet. And we went to the basement of the City Foundry garage. And even in there, the rain was so intense, the wind was so intense that the basement was like filling with water. Water was coming down the walls of the parking garage on the lowest level. And people were just parked in there. There were no spots. People were just jamming in there to get out of the weather because it was that serious. I think there was a touchdown or at least a funnel cloud and all that over in the Maplewood area, but it was serious because even all the news were using CITYPARK as a landmark when describing where the storm was going. They were saying It is going right to CITYPARK, right in the 7 o'clock time frame. So we were at the Foundry. We stayed in there for an hour and a half. My son just dealt with it. No cell phone, just hanging out with dad for an hour and a half, man. 2 hours down there. Quality time. It was kind of awesome, but I honestly wasn't expecting this game to happen because this storm was serious. It was long. It was coming from up from the south. We ended up going in the Foundry, getting some food. And then after things started to kind of clear, it was still raining, but the storm was clearly east of us. We went down to CITYPARK and we actually had a parking pass. Shout out to Together Credit Union. What's up?
Yes.
They gave us a parking pass for the parking garage that's right across the east side of CITYPARK. So nice. I at least wanted to check that out. Still, assuming this game probably isn't going to happen. I don't know what the protocol is, or if maybe they would play it the following day because FC Cincinnati was in town. So we went to the parking garage, and Michelle, there were people just partying. And I mean, they had been there. They had been there since like 2 or 3 p.m. So all the booze was gone. You know what I'm saying? Like there was tailgates, there were empty coolers, empty cans, but there was such a cool atmosphere of people, families, whatever. Obviously mostly from St. Louis, but there were Cincinnati fans that were there as well. And everybody just having a good time in the lower level of this parking garage. So fast forward a little bit, it is now in the late 8 o'clock hour, and we're thinking, dude, there's no way anything's happening because the lightning show that the sky was putting on was intense and unrelenting. And if I remember correctly, I don't remember exactly what the inclement weather policy is, but if you see lightning in the area, that like pushes back kickoff time for like a half an hour. Mm-hmm. Now, never mind kickoff time and gates, you got to think they have to have time to get out there, warm up players, do all the warm up stuff, which is probably 30, 40, 50 minutes, right? So we're seeing these lightning strikes. We're talking to people that have been sitting there for 3 or 4. And honestly, they were all still in good spirits. Shout out and a testament to soccer fans in general. But they were really confused because the team just hadn't said anything. Nobody had said anything. There was one tweet that went out that said inclement weather policy will let you know. And that had gone for over an hour with nothing.
Oh, wow.
So the team was
shout out to you guys for hanging out. I feel like so many people would have just gone home.
Yeah, and honestly, I did say at one point the lightning flashed again, and it was like 8:40, maybe 8:50, and I was like, "That's it, Bubba. I think we're out of here, brother." And like, I was having a good time with my son, but my son, thank goodness, says, "Well, let's just wait 5 minutes and see what happens." Now, meanwhile, there's probably about 100 people, 150 people at every one of the gates, mostly like out of town traveling fans that had no place to go and didn't know what to do, waiting for an announcement, waiting for something. And about 8:51, we hear inside the stadium an announcement that says, "Blah, blah, 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 blah. The gates will now open at 9 p.m. for a kickoff at 9:49." And then boom, the announcement hits the socials. So even though everybody was so upset with the lack of communication and just confusion in general, all of a sudden it was like, "Oh my gosh, we're gonna see this match. It's happening." And it was cheering in the parking garage, cheering across the way. So we ran out in the remaining rain, and we went to the team store real fast and checked out all the goods, checked out all the local stuff. We went into the southwest entrance, and again, shout out to Together Credit Union. We didn't realize that the tickets that they had given us were in the TCU club. And holy
Wow.
smokes, Michelle. Oh, baby, it's finally time to feel like royalty, because golly, man, the seats were just excellent. The food is freaking great, Michelle. I'd had the food outside, the barbecue and the Steve's hot dogs and like all the incredible local cuisine that we had.
Hmm.
But I hadn't had anything just from the TCU suite, which is like, burgers, fries, and all that. And Gerard Kraft in there at halftime actually was the one that handed my son his burger and fries. And those fries, mwah, chef's kiss. Chef's
Wow.
kiss. I am a fry connoisseur. These are great fries. So I just wanted to throw that in there before I forgot it.
Well, by the way, when I did the tour of the stadium, I went to the TCU suites. Are they called suites or whatever? It's the area that they're in, and that is incredible. That little I don't know exactly what it's called, but the cafeteria area that they have
Yeah,
is
right.
so nice.
Yeah, it's just like a little like two or
Hmm.
three bar. Actually, it has two different bars and then two different food sort of stalls inside the TCU club. I believe it's called the TCU
The
club. It's
club, that's right.
Together Credit Union. And the seats were incredible, and you could tell the players were so happy to be getting this match on. And the other thing is there was such a torrential downpour. And we know that these fields are built to drain things, but we've seen baseball fields fill up with water. We've seen a lot of different fields fill up with water. It was as if nothing happened there. I mean, it was the engineering of this place is a marvel and is so impressive. So that was our experience. It was quite the evening. Kickoff did happen right at 9:49. The anthem was beautiful. Everything was just like it was a normal 7:30 kickoff, although I would say when kickoff happened, it was probably 45 to 50% full, the stadium itself. But by the end of the second half, it was probably up to 65, 70% full. And man, it was loud. It was loud, even though it wasn't full because most of the people had to go home. What an experience. My son freaking loved it. He's not a really animated guy, but he was cheering. He was seeing his dad cheer and yell. And it
Oh.
was the greatest experience. And what a win. Let's get into the match.
Okay, I just got goosebumps though about your son being so into it. And even though you guys had to wait it out, I feel like that is something that he's going to remember forever. Like I remember going to Cardinals games with my dad and Blues games with my dad. Like this is another component of what City is bringing to our community. And it's a chance to build unforgettable memories with your family. So I'm really glad you guys had that. That's really special.
Me too. You're right. He's going to remember the match and he's going to remember like the lead up. You probably never
Yes.
remember going to Busch Stadium, the process of going, but he's going to
Right.
have all those interconnected memories. It was awesome.
Well, he'll certainly remember the match because what a victory for City, 5-1 over FC Cincinnati. And as I mentioned off the top, Moon, coming off 2 consecutive losses, we were waiting for City to respond. And I was very impressed with this team and this match for several reasons. First and foremost being what you just described and the incredible delay that they had. Athletes get in this certain mindset and they get in this certain physical preparation to get ready to play. And when you do all of that and then you're delayed for hours, you have to wonder how sharp teams are going to be when they come out. I don't know how it affected Cincinnati, but it did not seem to affect City at all.
No, they came out with such an intensity, almost like they had something to prove and they were trying to get the game over faster. And that's exactly what happened. I mean, what was it? Third minute in, fourth minute in, something like that. We had the most perfect angle from where we were that we got to follow the ball as it curved around that keeper. And,
You're right.
when,
3 minutes in for the Stroud goal.
oh my gosh, it was
And
wonderful.
what a cannon.
Yeah, it was so beautiful, and I'm teaching my son. My son has played soccer a couple different seasons in different places, and I coached him one year, and I was telling him, hey, do you remember that strategy I was telling you about, getting it to the wings and crossing it in? And I was like, our team does things a little bit different. It's more of a dump and run, a counterattacking sort of thing. That's a narrow field, but watch for these guys to push out wide because this particular player is a hustler. And I was talking about Stroud. I pointed him out and I said, this is a real hustler, and he's a fun guy to watch in the stadium because you get to watch him off the ball. One of the things he had a little bit of issues with in the beginning of the season is he was so energetic and so passionate that he was diving in a lot on balls and overcommitting to some balls on the defense. But in the case of these last couple matches, he's really toned that down and figured out how to use his hustle mindset and his super energetic play and still have like really solid composure, which I think is honestly a statement to be said for the whole team. This very abundant energy, go get him, attack him sort of football, or soccer, but figuring out how to kind of really like hone it and have composure and not overcommit. So I was talking about Stroud, and I'm not kidding. It was 40 seconds later, this kid put the ball in the net. It was awesome.
Oh my gosh. Well, you foreshadowed it, and it was a beautiful goal by Stroud. He had another opportunity not that long after, and your boy Leuven with another goal as well.
Yeah, Leuven was solid. Leuven was solid. He was good on picking out some plays. Playmaker. He's definitely a solid 10 where everybody's kind of looking at him to be that anchor. He is definitely a crowd favorite. That's for sure.
Yes, he is. One thing, Moon, that I noticed in this game is just the way that City was controlling the ball offensively. They were pressing, they were attacking the entire time. I mean, this game could have easily been 7-8 to 1, 7-8 to nothing.
Yeah, pressing, attacking, and super physical. I'm not sure how it showed on TV, but this was a really physical match where there was a lot of bumping and pushing and moving and jockeying for things off of the ball. I don't know how much it showed on TV on the broadcast with how kind of almost chippy it got. Like Cincinnati was upset. And when you're down, 3-0, 4-0, like you can get upset really quickly.
And after a long rain delay.
Yeah, and our guys,
they're probably like, get us out of here.
It's really nice to see our guys being extremely physical. Now, when Blom comes back, I'm kind of interested because he's a smaller guy, not as a physical of a player, but you can tell that these guys are training to be a physical team. Even the guys that aren't huge, Nico Gioacchini, like he was really getting into some scrappy kind of stuff with these dudes, and I really love him. I love him. He's got the soccer 101. What was the magic you said? Like the touch?
Oh, he gets the bump. It was the Carricker and Smallman bump. Now it's the soccer 101 bump. Yeah, he gets another goal in this game. And now that he's our boy, Moon, I watch him with a little bit more intensity. And I love watching this kid play. And I love watching him blossom. It seems like he's taking a even just a little more step forward and growing as a player and growing with this team every game.
Yeah, definitely. And they were dominating, and I kept telling my son too. I was like, this is my guy. This is my guy. And instantly my son was like, I love this guy too. I love this guy. But with the Gioacchinis, with the Strouds, even with Hebert and a couple of the other guys, you can see that they are training to be a physical presence no matter who they're up against. And in this league, it's not the biggest league on earth, but sometimes you get big physical strikers. And FC Cincinnati was the last undefeated team, I believe. They were undefeated. They came in with confidence. They came in with skill, and they came in with size. They have an attacker that is so skilled and so big. And he was almost put in the ground by our defense and by our midfield. They did not let that size intimidate them, and they got very physical. It was lovely to see.
This team reminds me, Moon, in a lot of ways of the 2019 Blues. Yes, the team that won the Stanley Cup, and you're probably thinking, what? Hear me out. That team was very physical, and that's how they would wear down their opponents. Torrey Krug, who played for the Bruins at the time, when he came to St. Louis, he said, we hated playing against the Blues because they would just come after us wave after wave after wave. And even though there was certainly star power on that team, there wasn't one star. There wasn't a Sidney Crosby. There wasn't one major guy that always got fed the puck and that would score. So many different guys could beat you. And when I look at City and the way that they're exerting that physicality, like you mentioned, and the way you have so many different players on this team contributing, and so many different guys that can score goals and be a weapon for you, that's a dangerous team. And it's no surprise to me that when you have those components, we're seeing the chemistry and the execution that we're seeing.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think that's actually a great comparison. But you can tell they're
so they'll win the MLS Cup like the Blues.
You know what? I don't know what the bad juju is as far as saying those types of things. But right now we are top of the Supporters Shield. We are smoking it, man. We are doing so good, beyond anything anybody could have ever predicted or expected. We got a great keeper. We got a great group that is really working together and training as a cohesive unit, and that's all you can ask for a coach. The only negative I could ever even see coming out of this last match, there was a hustle issue or two, once or twice, where I thought that they probably would have subbed those guys out, which they didn't. But I mean, there was really no criticizing our team. The only thing anybody could criticize maybe was there was some interesting and questionable moves from the ref. There was a little bit of controlling the game from the whistle in a kind of weird way. Yeah, in a kind of weird way, but maybe he thought he had to be a little aggressive to kind of settle anything that maybe would have gotten out of hand. Because like I said, it did get physical, it did get chippy, and it was 2.5 hours late.
Yes. So maybe he was just a little bit more aware of controlling the game in that manner. But yeah, things have been really good. They're at the top of the table, as you mentioned, in the Western Conference with 18 points, 6-2 right now in the season. And one other thing about what we saw on the field, Moon, before we move on to our word of the day, is I really love the way that we're seeing the plays develop in some of these goals, whether it was the Hebert header or the goal from Nico, our guy. It just seems like so many guys on this team have not only spatial awareness, but awareness of where their teammates are moving and going to be. And some of these small passes or beautiful crosses, like the one from Stroud to Hebert, like that we're seeing, it just seems like they have incredible awareness of what's happening around them all the time.
Yeah, not just the awareness, but I think since we have the matches under the belt and now the wins under the belt, everybody's really confident and attacking the goal. Everybody is confident enough to attack the goal. You know what I mean? Like they're not. There's not this nervousness to any sort of play. Not that there really ever has been from this team, but those first couple matches, you can always have a little bit of, just not even hesitation, but there's just this kind of tension, this nervousness, and now everybody's just going for it, and you can see it. You can see it every single time one of them scores. It's almost like they expected it.
Yes.
Another defender scores. Yeah, because I was here. I was ready to attack the goal. You know what I mean? Everybody's just ready for it.
But not in an overly cocky way.
No, just which
is great.
Yeah, in a naturally snowballing way, and that's good. It's just snowballed into this confidence. Like, let's attack the goal. Let's get more goals.
Well, up next for City is Colorado. The game is this Saturday, April 22nd. It's in Colorado at Dick's Sporting Goods Park, and it's a free game on Apple TV. So if you don't yet have that MLS season pass on Apple TV, you're in luck because this is a free one for you. So be sure to watch the game.
That should be a great one to watch too, because Colorado, not super impressive. St. Louis, top of the West, baby, top of the West. So hopefully this is just a hammer job, and we make Colorado go home crying. Back to their houses crying, and we come back with another win. It all things point to us. We're certainly favored in that. I would not be surprised if we can do what we did to FC Cincinnati. I would not be surprised for Roman Berkey to get a clean sheet against the Colorado Rapids. What is a clean sheet, you ask? Since it is our word of the week.
It's the word of the
week. A clean sheet, it's simple. It's what it sounds like for all all intents and purposes, it is a shutout. In soccer, a clean sheet refers to a shutout because the goalie has not allowed a goal in the match. The origin of the term makes sense when you think about it. If a goalie failed to concede a goal, no one would have to write anything on the score sheet. It is a clean sheet. Hopefully, Roman Berkey records another clean sheet in Colorado against the Rapids.
Work that into your workplace conversations this week because it is the word of the week.
Word of the week. Yeah. All right.
Before we wrap up, Moon, should we check the emails?
Yeah, let's check the emails. While you're digging into the emails, I just wanted to say that the latest announcement for CITYPARK, by the way, huge. The CONCACAF Gold Cup is going to be played for the first time in Cincinnati, St. Louis, and San Diego. 15 sites are going to be used. This is a 16-nation tournament played from June 24th to July 16th. It's the Confederation of North and Central American and Caribbean Association Football. That's CONCACAF. So when you hear all these things about the Gold Cup, this is not the World Cup, but yes, it is international teams. So the U.S. men's national team will be playing in the CONCACAF Gold Cup. With the World Cup, that's the whole planet, international teams up against each other in a big tournament. You hear about the Euros, and that is European teams, the international teams in a big tournament. This is basically our version of the Euros. And what do you know? CITYPARK gets a CONCACAF Gold Cup game, which is so friggin' sweet.
That is awesome. Thank you for that news update, Moon. And also want to shout out City and CITYPARK for hosting the U.S. women's national team last week. Another amazing event for St. Louis, and that keeps putting CITYPARK and St. Louis in the conversation as a soccer destination.
Yeah, for sure. That was actually the first opportunity my stepdaughter, who is just one of the most excellent young soccer players you will ever meet. She's so talented, and she was able to go to CITYPARK and see that match. And oh my gosh, she just came home raving. She couldn't believe that we had that in St. Louis, and it gave her, as a young soccer player, it gave her a goal. She's like, I want to play in this stadium like these women in front of me. And the U.S. got a goal from none other than an incredible athlete that was celebrating her birthday that day. So on her birthday, she scored for the U.S. women's national team in CITYPARK right here in St. Louis. So very cool.
That's amazing. I remember as a young girl, I played soccer my whole life, Moon, as we've discussed. I got to see the U.S. women's national team play, and it was the 99 team that went on to win the World Cup. And I got to see Mia Hamm and Brandy Chastain, and I think Julie Foudy was still on that team. It was one of the coolest experiences of my entire life. And I love that so many young girls and boys across St. Louis got to witness our awesome women's national team in St. Louis.
Oh, that's incredible.
Oh, and get this, I signed a petition that said I would not smoke, and I got entered to win a prize, and I won, and they called my name, and I got to go out to the field. I believe it was at halftime, and they gave me a soccer ball, U.S. women's soccer ball that was signed by everybody on the team. And I still have it to this day. It's like one of my prized possessions. And then they went on and they won after that.
Holy smokes, man.
Yes. And I've never smoked.
It's all coming together for Michelle.
That's right.
From that pledge. I love it. Oh my gosh.
Yeah. Still a non-smoker, still love soccer. So shout out to women's national team. Okay, well, let's wrap this up, Moon, with an email. And by the way, you can always email us at asksoccer101@gmail.com. We're here for your questions, your comments, your concerns, your shout outs, whatever you got. Just shoot us a note. We would love to hear from you. So last week we had answered an email from Joe about certain numbers and why certain players wear certain numbers. We talked about positions correlating with certain numbers, and he just wanted to thank us. Joe said that was so awesome. Great conversation, Moon and Michelle. Very informative as always. Keep up the good work. And of course, 5 of 5 stars.
Oh, sweet. Thank you so very much. We appreciate you. If you're listening to this podcast on whatever your favorite podcast app is, it probably has a little rating and review. So go ahead, rate it, review it. That's how other people learn about the pod. That's how other people learn about the sport. And that's all we're here to do, is to spread the love of this beautiful game, soccer, and of course, support our St. Louis City SC boys, all for City.
Well, Moon, next week we'll be talking about City taking on Colorado, the 1-3-4 Rapids. Hopefully we're talking about yet another victory. Again, it's on Apple TV. It's free. Be sure to watch the game. But until then, my friend,
go!